Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a rare Monday talking horses as we get into the waning days of 2019. We'll be racing through Wednesday, New Year's Day here at Aqueduct. Andy Serling in the clubhouse studio. The Big A, he's to my left. He'll let us know what races he's calling on today's 8-race card. It's sloppy. It's done nothing but rain basically since our card ended yesterday. It's supposed to be showery throughout the day, but that's the racing. And, you know, one of the things about track here at Aqueduct, it seems like when it's been wet, it's been one of its most fair racetracks, and looking at the racetracks we've had so far at Aqueduct. So we'll see if the track is playing at all towards any kind of particular running style. As we progress with the card, we'll talk about the card after you join Naira Bets. If you're not a member, sign up. We'll match up at $200. Use the promo code
Big A.
Big A is right. Also, today and tomorrow, a 2 million point hit and split.
Ooh.
Last 2 days of the year, playing the early pick 4 at Aqueduct here.
That's nice. You know what's good about that too, right? The points turn over on Wednesday.
Do they?
It's beautiful. It's the first of the month.
Oh, that's right.
Come on, man. It's like
So
a rent.
it was a weird month because, I mean, actually, it's funny. You know, I was thinking about this, and you can take that off. It's it seems like we had that long 5-day break, but we actually had sort of
we did.
We only had 1 day off, if you think about it. Because if you go through next weekend, we will race 7 total days in 2 weeks instead of 8.
It's the bulk. I'm used to that though, because when I was at my old New York Post days, I never really had vacation. Because when I took vacation, my partner had to work for me, and then vice versa. So it was like, well, you don't really get vacation.
You wrote
time.
page 6, right?
I was not page 6. No, I was.
You sure?
I didn't make. I never made page 6 when I left, which is well, maybe now.
Probably not.
We have hopes.
I don't read page 6.
I don't canoodle.
Page 6 used to be fun.
I don't canoodle.
Used to be fun. I haven't read it in years.
Yeah.
All right. You ready?
What are we doing?
Race number
The
1.
waning days of 2019. I like
Race
that.
number 1. We'll take a look at Anthony's top selection, the number 2, My Primo, last time out running second behind the Honest Town. How about it?
Yeah, this was something. This was the Honest Town. Pretty remarkable effort after having some trouble at the start, just running this horse down. This horse never really looked like he was going to win, My Primo. And going to get a pair of blinkers. I'm sorry, looked at the wrong horse for a second. Going to get a sloppy track again, and I think that's going to help. You know how much I love my sloppy track horses. Today seems like it should be the day for him or Wild Boar. I know you like Wild Boar. I just like the fact that this horse has some experience on the wet track. I thought he ran well enough last time. He kind of ran in line with his turf races, and that's it.
I thought he was the edge in the race because I really don't like him.
You don't like him?
I mean,
no.
I'm not going to say he's impossible, but I don't really think he's a particularly likely winner of this race. For him to have lost to the Honest Town, who was sort of a layover in the last race, but he also got completely left and eliminated at the break and lost all chance, and he still was able to run down My Primo, who had this perfect trip in there. I don't particularly like him. I think this is a much, much tougher field. The reality is that Wild Boar has not only been running against much better horses, he's been on the wrong surface for 4 of his last 5 races, and if you just isolate his dirt races, they're pretty much all better than these. Obviously, you're throwing in the wet track. You and I have a very different philosophy on wet tracks. I don't think they matter that much. You do get the occasional horse that doesn't handle it at all, and that can always happen, but I can't not bet because I'm worried a horse isn't going to handle a track, and there's that 1 in a million horse that relishes a wet track. I even think the One Disciplinarian's a more likely winner in reality. This horse comes out of a much, much better race last time, and I think if you stack his race up last time to My Primo's, I don't think he really ran any worse. He broke a length slow. He was somewhat awkward coming out of the gate. He was down on the rail for much of the running. He didn't do any real running in the race, but this was a race a track you were better off being off the rail, and while Irad got him off the inside a little bit in the stretch, he spent a lot of the time on it, and I think these are the 2 likeliest winners, the 1 and 3. I don't think that My Primo is very good.
I didn't like the fact that Doc Kimmel kept this horse on the turf.
I think he made a mistake. I don't think it's. I just think it was an error in judgment.
Let's say twice.
Four times. Yeah, he did. He made a mistake.
Okay.
Because this is a horse that clearly, if you read his running lines, he's just a better horse in the dirt than he is in the turf. Why somebody continued to end in the turf, I'm not going to get into their mind of why they did something
The
that was
drop
wrong.
concerned me too last time.
I think you'll see in today's race that he is a very likely winner as the race progresses.
Okay.
We could bet some lunches that he finishes out of your horse. You're at 44. It's a record high.
I will take My Primo over Wild Boar.
2 lunches?
I'll take 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
3 over 2. So it'll be 46 after the first race today. Race number 2. I thought race number 2 was extremely difficult. I don't have any argument that the horse, and we'll take a look at Mr. Short and Simple breaking his maiden at Belmont. I don't have any argument that he's the horse to beat, and I'm overcomplicating it. He would be an A in my tickets. I'm just not sure how good he is, but he's the horse to beat.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's the horse to beat. I quite honestly, the rest of these horses would have to step up if he can come back to that maiden win. No one has a race on the card close to this maiden win. And last time out, you know, he was on the lead and he was running against 3 Technique. He really didn't. I mean, I didn't love his effort last time out, but I'm hoping he gets back to the maiden race. I would think from his draw, you know, there's some other speed in here. But I would hope that Vargas is aggressive and at the very least has him.
Yeah, he should be forwardly placed along
you know.
with the 2 Campai going out for Chris Englehart. I don't disagree. He's supposed to be, if not in front, very much forwardly placed. Now, I don't know that that's going to necessarily help his chances. We have no idea how that's playing.
Right.
I mean, yesterday's track seemed pretty fair. You know, a lot of people were talking about yesterday, and it doesn't matter with the rain today, that the rail was dead. I think that is a fallacious argument. I think in general, the riders have been staying away from the rail for the most part the last couple of days because they're erring on the side of caution, which is fine, but we saw that horse battle gamely down the stretch, finishing second in the second race for Marcassi yesterday. We've seen horses come through the inside. I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever the rail has been dead.
And I think you have to be clear and you have to try to separate a dead rail from a better part of the track. Just because the outside seems to be the better place, it doesn't mean you can't win.
Well, there was
the
a lot
bad.
of logical results throughout the card.
Yeah, no question about it.
And the reality
Agreed.
is that racing, it can be, especially at Belmont and Aqueduct with the sweeping turns. Belmont is sort of an outside, they're kind of outside flow racetracks, and the tracks are playing fairly. Unless you're having a big speed bias, which we don't see here really very often, you're going to have tracks that are conducive to horses making outside moves. That's why you see it in the turf. It doesn't mean the rail is dead. I think there's a rush judgment. People here, there's not that many people left that were around in the 70s and into the early 80s even, when Belmont was a constant dead rail.
It was the Belmont balcony.
Yeah, and horses went at the rail. You didn't run second, beating a length and a half.
You got beat a pole.
It was like the Bermuda Triangle in there. It was the Belmont Triangle. Horses they disappeared in there.
When I was young, it was like the abyss.
Like somebody had a vacuum and they
that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist anymore.
They just sucked them out of the race.
That doesn't exist anymore.
I remember, you know, looking back on Fabiano's debut. I was at Belmont when the mighty Fabiano debuted. It's a long story of somebody having a tip on him, knowing the exercise rider who was working 57. They were supposed to be giving him a race. It was a whole long story. Actually, I talked to John Nehru and he told me a whole story about him. Fascinating story. Pay $85, which some people, old timers, will remember. Old timers, I guess I'm one too. It's like, I think it was summer of 79 or 80. I think 79. It doesn't, might have been 4th of July. It was in that area. Favorite in the race was named Buck Island, trained by Leroy Jolly. I think it was a brand horse, but it was Buck Island. And Fabiano got left. He was on the dead rail. He ran up the dead rail. Not sure he got left, but he ran up the dead rail. He got steady behind horses, taken back, came back up the dead rail, and still galloped. That's when you knew this was like a serious racehorse. Yeah. Anyhow.
That doesn't exist anymore. That dead valley's out there anymore.
I agree with you. I think outside flow, tracks that have like maybe every path they start to get a little bit better, but it's not a dead rail.
You know what I noticed too, really,
path difference.
We'll move on. When the track seems to be playing a little slower, it looks like the outside seems to be a better place to be.
I agree with you. I agree. And I think there's a perception when that happens that the reality is different than what people's perception is. I like the number 3, Tiz Epic. I know Blue City, and listen, Blue City can win. One thing about Blue City, the one, he was much more professional with the blinkers. I'm not as big on blinkers as you are, but this was a goofy, bad acting horse. And he clearly acted professional. You know what, with Tiz Epic, Linda claimed this horse. She's being aggressive, moving it up. Did I put the stat up, guys? Did I give you the stat? No, I forgot to send it in. Stretch out on the dirt off the claim. She's 11 for 21 with a 307 ROI. I went with a stat. I forgot to send it in. I don't know how 50%. I missed it. Yeah, it's a pretty remarkable stat. What about Money Ride? You got a horse that does have a win over a wet track. My problem with Money Ride, and I bet Money Ride last time, he looked like a layover to me. This was some hungry field he was in.
It was a hungry field, and he did what you are supposed to do to a hungry field. He was aggressively ridden, a good job by Sammy Camacho. He just got in front of these horses, and he proverbially ran them off their feet. Now, that's a pretty wet track. We have a pretty wet track today. He went fast enough where I would assume that Sammy's going to try to do the same thing. The difference here is last time was 6. Today's a mile. I'm probably going to use him as a backup.
How can you not use a horse with a 7-length win in a wet track? That would be against your religion.
Exactly. And the fact that he's going to, if he's ridden the same way, he's going to be.
Well, I think he will be more forwardly placed because they were more aggressive last time. But that was an extremely hungry field. Race number 3. Race number 3 is a funny Chad Brown element because you've got 2 maidens, one still with Chad and one not with Chad. We'll look at One-Eyed Jack. When I first remembered the One-Eyed Jack race, because I remember this clearly, this was the first race the day after the Arlington Million card where Chad Brown had a big day. It didn't take long for frustration to set in. He actually had 2 horses in this race. I thought that this horse had a big trip in here. He didn't. He didn't have a big trip. And I'm not sold on him. I believe has he been purchased privately since that race? I forgot to look it up. They're definitely different silks than he's got on today. Is that the right race? I think it is.
That looked like a
Rapoli horse.
I thought it was Starlight second. So the Starlight owned it?
It was a private sale, my friend Stevie. It was a private sale.
Okay.
I didn't think the horse had that much of a trip. At first, I thought that Jose got into a bit of a trap. By the way, Jose Ortiz will be here Wednesday to ride at Independence Hall. I was going to need to see him coming here. I didn't think this horse had much of a trip in that race, though he can win.
Yeah,
it was Michael Tabor and company, right? It was the Comer Silks, yeah.
It looks like this race goes through Chad and the old Chad. I can't. It's kind of hard to find anybody else in here.
Well,
I think, right?
The 7's fine. The 7's the worst to beat. High Amplitude, we'll show High Amplitude's last race. I actually, in some ways, thought the horse ran better when second behind Hidden Scroll, which was on a wet track. So down at Gulfstream, the horse handled a wet track. This was a race that was dominated in the front end. I think you could argue that speed was okay that day at Gulfstream. These are probably the right 2 horses in here. I don't think either one of them necessarily that good. I had thought that High Amplitude would be pretty good after that maiden race. Something obviously went wrong. He hasn't been out now for another 9 months. Actually 10 months. Chad Brown with these numbers, 250-day layoffs, dirt routes, the maidens, he's 5 for 10. It's an outstanding number.
Truth of the matter is, too, this horse is running numbers early in his 3-year-old year that the rest of these horses really have trouble keeping up with at this point in time of their career. So I just have to imagine the fresh gelding's it usually helps. Chad's had mixed results with the fresh geldings. A few of them have won. I'm not worried too much about that. He's also not the kind of operation that just gelds horses for no reason. So, like I said, he's running numbers fast enough in his early 3-year-old year to compete with these horses now. Chad does great with layoff types, as that stat indicates. I think he's the horse to beat.
And don't make the mistake of thinking that because Chad Brown left this horse from New York in the winter, it's a negative sign. Cloud Computing was here during the winter, and they decide the horse. His super fan interests me. He was in a spot where I really liked him against maiden claimers here on the day we canceled. So much tougher spot, but he is the controlling speed, and rode home is Andy off. But I don't know. I've just had about enough of that horse.
I was waiting to see if you put him.
I got to bet a couple dollars on him. You can't win this race.
That's insanity. It's insanity insurance
I have
for
to
you.
have something on
I got you.
Race number 4. Race number 4, you took Stay Fond, not me. I am not taking this horse. I should really show the whole race. We'll just show the stretch. Whatever Manny Franco made for this ride, he should be given at least twice, maybe 3 times what he made. Because I don't think I've ever seen a rider work harder and a stronger rider than Manny. Work is hard. He rode this horse every step of the way, and she barely got there. I know. There are no killers in here. I don't want any part of this horse.
We had this conversation on HRN the other day. Guys like Manny Franco, guys like Gerard Ortiz Jr., the luxury of being able to bet on these guys up here in New York day in and day out is Manny's going to win. Manny's a 216 at the time I printed these PPs. So say Manny's going to win 220 races this year. He rides the 10 claimers like Stay Fond, like he rides Grade 1 horses.
Well, that's always good riders. When Javier was riding a lot when I was down in Florida, would give great rides on $6,000 claimers. I can't take this horse.
I think the fact that Linda's given this horse a little time now. This horse came back in 13 days last time. And, she's 5 years old.
Which race did they run that she didn't run in? Where should she have run this horse?
They've run 12s and 10s and 8s.
I don't think. No, they haven't. No, they haven't run a condition for this horse. I don't think. I don't think so. Not 10s or 8s. I don't think so. I could be wrong.
I thought there was one.
maybe, but I don't. I'm dubious. Give it time. Do whatever she wants. I don't like this horse's last race. I think this horse's form is extraordinarily dubious. Would I use her? Yeah, I'd use her. I would never pick her. I gave her
the benefit of the doubt with the 13 days, and now she gets the 5 weeks.
And Theodosia, you didn't think that was a pretty disgraceful field she beat last time?
I did. I don't have any.
You picked a horse named Nowitna River in a field that's about 50 lengths better than this field. Yet you've got two horses, Pacamama and Rattle the Stars, that finish behind that horse, and you've got them third and fourth. Why not put one of them on top? You like Nowitna River against real horses, and now these horses are in against this field.
I guess
why not have one of them on front?
I guess Pacamama would be the more interesting of the two for me.
She is the more interesting of the two. She's like the better one.
She's also going to be half the price of doing. Listen, I'm going to use the 3 of them in here, maybe a little Rattle the Stars as well.
Okay, I'm going to bet Cotton Candy Cutie. I know I have had a bad opinion with her. Now, she had an excuse 2 back. Last time out, she was bad. I don't disagree, but I'll say 2 things. She has run well in the wet. She is also the controlling speed in here, and this rider is supposed to send her to the lead in here and hope for the best. I have no illusions. She has not been good, and I can understand not wanting to follow me. I need to find an alternative to the 7
It's funny you bring up the wet track because her best race in a long time.
Oh, and Dylan's riding her. Dylan needs to be aggressive. This is the right time for Dylan to be aggressive with her. We'll see what happens, but I cannot pick State Fond, who I did not like last time.
Okay. 5th.
Do you remember Rattle the Stars, by the way?
No.
You picked her when she broke her maiden last February.
Did I?
Yeah. How quickly you've forgotten.
How many races have we covered?
You really love him. Oh, please, give me a break. I remember bets I made, every bet I made over the last 30 years. Anyway, you love him and leave him. Poor Rattle the Stars.
Oh, yeah. She beat that 1-5. Was that Canizzo?
Yeah, it was a heavy favorite.
Yeah.
Race number 5. We'll take a look at Mo Diddley, who you have on top. And here's Mo Diddley. I think this is 2 races back on November 10th when he finished second. Whose entry mate play that funny music. Go ahead. Wax poetic.
Yeah, Mikey Tenizzo has played that funny music now, and he's got him going well. This horse's 2 best races. Well, at the very least, this horse's best races come on a sloppy track back at Belmont, the bottom race on the card. If you have the printed out PPs when he won by 6, 96 Beyer speed figure, drawn outside. Bruce ran this horse. Bruce Brown claimed this horse 2 back from Cantamachi. Ran this horse on the turf last time. I don't know why. This horse had won on the turf, but I think this horse, since being gelded earlier in the year, I don't really know why they went back to the turf. I think this horse is a dirt horse. He catches his kind of racetrack. He's drawn outside.
Does it bother you, though, that a horse that's had good turf form in the past ran as poorly as he did first time in the turf off the claim? Does that bother you at all? I mean, this is a horse. No,
he was down inside that day.
Anthony,
he wasn't fast enough.
No,
I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it, but he wasn't fast enough.
Anthony, he was atrocious.
He was terrible.
He was atrocious. I think you have to answer the question, which is, does it?
No, because I don't think he's a turf horse. I know he had some decent turf form. I think he's a better dirt horse.
But he has a turf horse in his last turf race, showing where he got beaten a length to Douse's Beach in Banana Thief. Anthony, you can't say he's not a turf horse. That's a bad argument.
I said he's a better dirt horse.
It's possible he's better on the dirt. He's run better races. But that doesn't mean he isn't capable in the dirt. The answer is yes, I am a little bit concerned.
I'm not.
Well, I think that's I think that's just denying true reality.
Why would I do it? I don't have no allegiance to this horse. There's no denying it. I don't think he's that good of a turf horse.
Anthony, the horse ran serious turf races. In the first race off the claim, he wasn't bad on the turf. He was atrocious. Yes, I think it has to be considered a serious concern.
His 2 best races by far in his career have come on the dirt, with one being on a sloppy racetrack.
You know what you keep saying to me? Anthony, how come you don't like that orange? I saw you eating orange in my office. Oh, I really like apples. I love apples. I keep saying, I know, but I saw you eating orange in my office, and you go, but I really like apples.
Why do you have to impart how good this horse is on the turf? I don't think he's that good.
I'm going to say, we'll end it at this. We completely disagree. I think to ignore a bad effort like his last time off the claim on a surface he had in the past would be a mistake. And I think that's a concern. Okay. Do I think he can win this race? Of course I do. He likes a wet track. He's posted well on the outside. He could win. And he's supposed to be the speed, but it has to concern you. Now there's the 6, Summer Bourbon. Summer Bourbon, to me, is a classic missed the wedding. Now, I've got him 3rd because I don't really like anybody out in here, and I'm not going to keep falling for I haven't fallen once for him. For H-Man, who I don't really think has done any particular improving improving in his recent starts. Maybe he'll appreciate a cutback in distance, though I guess he has a chance. I just think he missed the wedding with this horse.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But again,
and this is a bar whose numbers off of wins are not particularly strong.
I don't have a lot of faith in H-Man anymore. I don't really want Bourbon Mission. Manifest Destiny. Manifest
what's
Destiny.
wrong with Manifest Destiny?
There's nothing wrong with him, but it's almost like, you know, he shows up when he wants to show up.
Well, he chased El Hermano going a mile last time out. The time before that, he was running against Amundsen and the Caretaker. The time before that, he was chasing Binkster, who's a much better horse than these. Before that, he handled your man, Joe Smokin' Gun, who obviously improved for Rudy. But the reality is, he's just been running over his head. He's taking a realistic drop, and I just think he's super logical.
But don't you think he's going to be in a tough spot chasing Mo Diddley? And
No, he's not a chaser. He's not fast enough to chase. What gives you the impression that this is a particularly fast pace? I think what gives you the impression it's a fast pace, or he's going to be in the top 3? He's not a chaser. You imagine horses chasing. Chasers are
horses' best races when he's sitting a length off the lead.
Anthony, chasers are horses that are committed speed horses that are in races where there's faster speed horses. He's not a speed horse.
So what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to let this horse drop off the pace?
I don't know. He'll be sitting somewhere in 4th or 5th. I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I don't know how they're going to run races around here. But it's not a chaser. He has never in his life indicated to be any kind of chaser. We disagree. Race number 6. We'll probably disagree here, too. I think Eliseo is the horse to beat in this race. I'm not going to argue. She won easy last time. Joelle rode her. This was a virtual cakewalk, and she seems to be improving. For Kieran McLaughlin, who, by the way, still here.
Yeah, I know. I won't hold my breath for the dinner, but yeah.
It's not with me.
This is listen, this scratches down to 5. This was a little bit of a tough one for me.
I have an opinion in here.
Yeah.
She can win, but I don't particularly like Avelina. I think and I won't be shocked if she wins, I'm not, but I think she's the one that's going to take money. In my opinion, it's going to take that. I just think Eliseo is a very logical horse. She's run well sprinting. She's well suited in here, and she just should getting the right trip, stalking outside of Honey I'm Good, who actually isn't that bad a dirt horse. And it's possible that Honey I'm Good has improved as a racehorse, and maybe it's not just the turf. She might just have gotten better as a horse.
And now with filibustering out of here.
Right. Well, Eliseo stalker, but I agree. Junior can just go. Avelina. Here's Avelina's win. I think this is 3 back.
The sloppy track at
Belmont.
You know,
I didn't put them up, but Danny does not. Danny's numbers, turnbacks, he's 20% to $1.75 ROI. Turning back in the dirt off of layoffs, 4 to 8 months, 0 for 3. Shortish prices. This is not. He's not a great liver. And listen, obviously she can win, and she broke her maiden first time out going 6.5. So it's not like she can't.
And this was at 7.
But it just feels to me like this has a little bit of a Prepperoni look to it. If you're Danny, obviously you want to win, but I don't think he's thinking I better win that 6.5 furlong race because she probably wants to be best going a little farther.
I feel like the only other horse for me in here would be Eliseo. I think Eliseo's going to get terribly overbet in here off the last race.
See, I disagree. I think Avelina's the one who's going to get really overbet in here. I think that Eliseo's much more likely to win. I think she's going to be relatively comparable prices.
Oh.
I'll put it this way. If there's a big spread, don't you say that Avelina's dead?
No, because I think that off the last race, Eliseo's supposed to take a ton of money.
I like Posse Needed in here. This is another one. I get why Mark tried turf, and maybe there were better opportunities for him on the turf. In theory, I don't think she's a turf horse. I think she's a better dirt horse. And she's a horse that's had some trips. She's run against some tougher fields. She's run figures. They're easily in the ballpark to win this race. And she's the one that's going to get completely ignored in here. I think she's very interesting.
She's the 4th choice, no question about it.
I think she's very interesting in here. She's got go-back races that absolutely give her a chance in this race. So I'm going to take a small shot with her. Race number 7. Honor Up is back. One of my favorite horses.
Yep.
Always loved this horse. As you know, I was a big fan. And I'll give you an example. This is one that Bill Mott made a mistake with, and I think Bill will be the first to admit it. He got fooled because this horse got a perfect trip and won first time in the turf. But the reality with this horse was he's not a turf horse. He's a dirt horse. Now, it's not like Bill ran him 50 times in the turf like some other horse that eventually ended up being pretty good in the dirt. But I think it's an interesting case in point. Horses and trainers will admit will fool them. And this horse really blossomed for Michelle Nevin, but he blossomed in the dirt. And the thing was, I think Bill was unlucky with this horse because Bill tipped his hand with him early when he ran this horse in the Lexington, his like 3-year-old debut. He said right away, I think this is a good horse. And he was in a position to win the race, and Jose ended up easing him. I don't know what went wrong. I never know what went wrong. And he had trips in his other races. Michelle's, I found this stat interesting. 4 to 8 month laughs in dirt sprints at Aqueduct. She's 30% with a positive ROI. We think of Michelle as a trainer that doesn't do well off layoffs. She's actually done very well laying off horses for Aqueduct. And I think it's particularly applicable, and I was thinking about it with that horse of hers that came back.
Skylar Scramjet?
No. That horse that won the stake.
My boy Tate.
My boy Tate, right? Oh, he'll need a race.
You know, and I don't have the stat to back this up. I'm sure you're not surprised by that.
I'm shocked.
Don't you feel like, though, especially when it comes to Michelle, the better ones, the horses that they come back better?
No.
My boy Tate's a great example.
No, he also came back badly. My boy Tate came back at Saratoga and bombed. Let's move on. We don't have a lot of time. I Love Lulu loves a wet track. I Love Lulu is not getting the lead. I Love Lulu doesn't need the lead. I just don't think I Love Lulu is the horse that he once was. But I'm going to tell you something. His last sloppy track, this was the affirmed success.
Pat on the back.
He runs this race. This field could be in trouble.
Yep.
People will forget how well he ran. He was in the teeth of that pace. That was a wicked pace. Pat on the back makes that huge run, and he's pat on the back, too. I would not dismiss this horse on a wet track.
Even the race against Almouth-Mar, when Preservationist was coming back and ran third in the sprint race early this year here at Aqueduct, same kind of racetrack, and he kind of envisions to be the same kind of trip for him today.
Yeah, is Celtic Chaos still a racehorse?
You know what? I would think he's going to get the setup to find out today. And
aren't you worried he can't run anymore?
I am, but I think he's the one that's going to get lost in the wagering shuffle. I think he's the one that'll be 5 or 6 to 1 because they're going to bet I Love Lulu on the wet track.
Yeah, but they also know he likes a wet track.
They do, but they're going to. I don't know. What do you think he's going to be? You don't think he'll be the 5 to 1?
Is 5 to 1 a great price on him? 5 to 1's not a bad price.
I think he's going to be a little higher, to be honest with you.
I don't.
They're going to bet Dugout. They're going to see Dugout off the open company stakes win.
Yeah, good luck to Dugout.
Tribeca's on a 4-race win streak.
Dugout, I want to see Dugout bring that race to
I do too.
But I will say one thing. He rated last time.
Listen, he rated last time, and he got himself involved in a little bit of a stretch duel, and he was able to find himself on the winning end of it. He ran well last time.
And I'll say another thing. They're not running with Tribeca here. And with a scratch a cool boy, he's going to get clear of I Love Lulu and Dugout, assuming he breaks cleanly.
He's supposed to.
And how can you not be afraid of him? You know he's never won a race rating? Yeah, never won a race rating. All 10 of his wins. One race he was outside, like in a duel, but he's never won a race sitting behind horses, ever.
I think with both Dugout and I Love Lulu in here.
Well, he's also got to be good enough to win.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't make the mistake of assuming that he can't get loose.
No, I would agree, but he's going to have 2 horses that are going to be within earshot of him, making him work for that front end today. Which is why I think it does allow a horse like Celtic Chaos to have a real chance today if he can still run.
Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree. I've got him third. I'm not, but I don't know. I think you're wrong. I think he's going to be on the shorter side.
Okay.
What do you think? Race number 8, the final race of the day. We have a stat. We'll show Magnetique running second a few races back, and then we'll show you a stat for Todd Pletcher. Not going to be a big price. I'm not trying to beat this horse. I will use others, including Todd's other horse, who's not very good. Though if you use Todd's other horse, you're supposed to bet Meb's Webb, the 8, because Meb's Webb actually had a trip in that race and should have been second, ahead of Broadway Angel, who worked out a very good trip after not breaking in there. I don't know. You'll see the stat for Todd Pletcher. This barn just seems to win with these horses.
I mean, this horse is a tough horse to get past today. She just.
They're not right to bet it's a short price.
No.
She's tough. The barn has overall extremely good numbers.
That's a scary number.
Right.
For horses drop for a maiden claiming stat. Could you imagine? I mean, any stat in the 30% range when it comes to maiden claimers, who are to me the most volatile bunch of horses.
These are New York breds too.
These are a scary number.
And the funny thing is, there's not as much of a difference in these. Anyway, they seem to win. What races you calling today?
Just the 4th.
Just the 4th for Anthony. Head over to Naira Bets. Bet. What is it? Oh, we'll match them to $200 sign up, $200 deposit match. Promo code is Big A. 2 million point hit and split in the early pick 4 today and tomorrow here at Aqueduct, as we will be open today, Monday, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday for New Year's Day. Maggie's here.
Yep.
She'll be in the paddock. Yeah, I know she'll be gone. Maggie's due relatively soon. You preparing the baby's room?
Oh my God, this guy! No, I'm allergic to paint. That's true.
I
I'm
got a
allergic
great
paint.
answer to that.
That's true.
Johnny I up next, the reprise, the scratch and changes.